because they're in fear, which I'm going to talk about right here. This is actually a slide from the researcher David Hawkins, who wrote the book Power versus Force. I highly recommend his work, although I think he stopped short of understanding some of the really deeper esoteric and occult principles that need to be understood. His basic premise when it comes to gauging human consciousness is actually very informative and valuable. So where is anger on the scale of a whole dynamic range of human consciousness? It's not going to be perceived here, even in this slide that I'm using to illustrate this point, as very high in consciousness. Here's where anger is. I'm going to blow this up to show it to you a little bit more in depth, because I think it's that important. Here's where anger is, and his scale goes from 0 to 1,000, with 0 being death, okay, and 1,000 being total enlightenment or godlike consciousness, insofar as that we are really embodying the true principles of seeing ourselves as all together as one consciousness in unconditional love. That's the very highest expression, which would be at 1,000. And the scale is logarithmic. It is not linear, okay? So anger is right here. And you'll notice that it is just before you get to that green heart energy, right? It's the beginning of where you're seeing the green spectrum as it's being illustrated in this image of the spectrum of colors the visible range, the visible spectrum. Green, I've always talked about as the center. That's the balance energy. It's heart energy. That's why I used it for the heart instead of most people choose a red heart. The Anahata chakra in the Indus Valley tradition, of the Vedas, is in the chakra system green. It's a green 6-petaled flower that is the seed of life, because it's the generative principle from which anything good really grows, okay? But this is where anger is. It's a little bit below that, but it's starting to go up into that green range. Now, in Hawkins' work, he talks about this critical point in consciousness that is the number 200. And that is very not so coincidentally, I should say, but very synchronistically, courage. Courage is the embodiment of this 200 line. And look at where it falls. Right in the middle, in the green, the heart-based care center of the visible spectrum. People think of courage as active, right? As something that's done with action. But no, courage also comes from care. It stems from care. The courage to do what is right comes from first caring about what is right. And what gets you to that place of care is becoming first getting angry. See, that's the whole principle. First, you have to get mad. That anger comes up into the heart. It wells up in the heart because you care about what's right, and you care about whether people have the freedom to express their rights. Okay? So I'm talking about courage here as a stepping stone to get to that place of courage, to act, to get into right action. So I'm going to end by talking about the transformation, the alchemical transformation of the sacred form of anger into right action, courage and right action. Now, interestingly enough, look at what that 200 line is in David Hawkins' work. It is, in his work, it represents the ability to discern truth from falsehood. And that is why most human beings do not have that capacity or ability. They're not even angry enough. They haven't even developed the self-respect to say, I'm angry, I don't deserve to be treated like this, my life has value and I'm not going to take it anymore. They need to develop that anger that then they can use as fuel to convert it into courage and take right action in the world. So let's talk about the alchemical transmutation of anger into courage. Because this is what it's about, right? It's not just about feeling something. It's about what are you going to do with it? What's the difference if you could feel it if you're not going to take right action with it? St. Augustine said, hope has two beautiful daughters. Their names are anger and courage. Anger at the way things are, and courage to see that they do not remain as they are.